I had friends who owned, flatheads, and I came, having flathead tone ring and such, and so I went to analyze it with the EMPA Swiss, material analyzing station and company, and so we went. So I went to a company in Aarau, and they're called Ricci, and they've been in business since the 1300s. You know,
Long time.
long time. So building bells. And they looked at the analyzing and they looked at all that and they said, yeah, and they said, this is that kind of pouring. And, from EMPA, they could tell me how hot the copper was when some of the tin was added, and they could tell me because of the chemical reactions that happen at certain temperatures. And, they could tell me all kinds of things. I had no clue that they could tell me all that because they did any kind of analyzing that you can think of. It's not just what's in it, how it's distributed, how hot it was, and how it cooled, and everything. I mean, and I know they did a lot of things to that tone ring. We had to actually chip a little piece off, and do all kinds of things. And but anyway, so they said this is interesting because this is just a cheap chunk of metal, basically. It's scrap metal basically that you can get on any scrap yard. It's nothing in particular. And but if that's good, I mean, we can make you that. I mean, it's not an issue. So they took that. I had one of the tone rings I have is the Johnny Wisnant tone ring from Johnny Wisnant himself of his RB3, 1936. And so I got that from Gabby Baumgartner in North Carolina. Uwe bought me that to my 40th birthday, which is, the family pretty much wanted me to have it. And so, and everybody wanted that tone ring at the time because the RB3 was in the fire and all was left was that tone ring. And it was like the holy grail of tone rings because it was also one of the banjos that inspired Earl Scruggs to actually play banjo. Not that banjo, but Johnny Wisnant, But the RB3's been around forever. And then it got destroyed, and I got that tone ring. Anyway, so we took that tone ring as a model, and I went to, because it was used in so many recordings in Otto Smith Studios in North Carolina. So I took that tone ring to Ricci, and they said, okay. So they re-poured this tone ring. I mean, they took exactly what's in it and how, and they knew the temperatures, and they just poured. It's a high-tech company, basically, the ancient high-tech company. So they made this tone ring, and they made me about, 10 copies of the Johnny Wisnant tone ring. And I'm serious, you cannot tell a difference. I mean, they ring on the same pitch, they have the same shape, they have the same decay, they have the same spectrum of notes, because they know exactly how to do that. And so here I have, Johnny Wisnant's ring. And then they said, well, it's pretty good, but we can also make something completely different that is really drastically, also has a different kind of tone. And maybe why don't we try a few things, because maybe it'd be interesting. And I said, would you do that? And René Spielmann was the boss of the company, still is. Wonderful man, a great guy, extremely knowledgeable. And he said, why don't we do, a real bell bronze just to start off with, at 2080 bronze, 21, 21.5% tin, and we really make it without bubbles. I said, what without bubbles? He said, well, if you have tonnage and, metal changes and you have less gas bubbles and it rings cleaner, but when you make a small part you have lots of problems. That's why you have to add lots of chemicals in order to get gas out and stuff like that. And so he explained to me many things, but he says we have technology that we can do actually the same pouring like a 10-tone bell, right? And we can make it into a small pieces like this, and it has the same tonal qualities. I said, well, that sounds interesting. So he said, well, let me make one for you. So he made one for me. I still have that. It's a big chunk of metal out of bell bronze. I put it in the banjo. It sounded terrible. it was so hard, and it rang like crazy, and it was just doing all these things. And then I said to him, that really is not doing it. He said, well, but the shape is as important as the material. So he said, let's just change shape. So we started changing shape, and he had these precision, guys there. And that was nice. You came to visit with Janet. Mm-hmm. You came to see us.
Yeah, and you took us to the founder.
You got to meet René Spielmann, and And then finally, you know, after I don't know how many tone rings, I still have about 50, 60 tone rings that René made for me, you know, up in the attic, you know. And he did that with no cost because he was interested himself, you know. He said, I want to figure out, maybe we can come up with something that's, you know, worth doing. And so at one point, all of a sudden, we have this tone ring that I really liked. It was different than the Johnny Wizard. It was different than anything that was out there. And I showed it to you. I said, this is a really good tone ring. It really, it's clean, it's clear, it's not too bright. It has all the, it's just, but it's different. It's like a Telecaster and a Stratocaster, right? It's actually something new, something really revolutionary, new that has never been done. And it's still good, you know? Some things are new, they're not better. They're just cheaper. But this is actually really, really good.
Well, you know, there was something that happened on that trip when you were showing us the tone ring. We were at your house in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And your friend Massimo,
Italy, yes.
the mandolin player from Italy, had come up to visit. And we were outside getting ready to have dinner. And Janet was taking a couple of pictures, and Massimo went behind you and hid behind you and held the tone ring up behind you like a halo. And you got the sweetest look on your face. And we got that picture. And it is a priceless picture. And you've not wanted us to show it to anybody, but it's a picture the world needs to have. It's incredibly charming.
You know what happened when we were in Sarzana, you know, for the guitar festival together? I was giving a workshop, remember? You know, banjo workshop in Sarzana, the castle. Right? It was phenomenal, right? And so Massimo, you know, made an introduction, you know. So he made a pamphlet, you know, a little thing. And he put that picture, he took that picture, and he took the Pope's robe.
And put it on you.
And he put it on me, you know, photoshopped it on me. And it's just, and he wrote, "Welcome, Banjo Pope." So everybody in Zarzana was walking around with this picture of the Banjo Pope, and I had to sign hundreds of pictures of Banjo Pope. that was Massimo.